This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, there's a team who stands between you and oblivion. A team of time travelers, aliens, and robots. They are the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tonight's episode, The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mack and D. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz. Welcome back to the show. After getting stranded in 1982, Mack retreats to his childhood home to deal with the death of his parents. Deke scouts a group of new agents. Our director this week is none other than Steven Bochco, son of famed producer, Jesse Bochco. Jesse Bochco is our director. Jesse Bochco, a talent in his own right. His father is Steven Bochco, famed for such 80s dramas as Hill Street Blues, and who was the writer on many an episode of Columbo. Yes. We have, of course, our writing credits going out to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who get our Based on Marvel Comics by credit. Joss Whedon, Jed Weaven, and Marissa Tancharion gets our graded bys. Brent Fletcher gets our written by. Mark Lettner, he's just a regular old story editor. But you know who lords it over him? Who is the hardest working man in showbiz? Why, none other than George Kitson.
Oh, of course.
Story editor. So this is wow. This is an episode. A lot of 80s tropes, a lot of gore, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Indeed.
I started recording, right? Yeah. Yep, recording has started. Okay, just gotta make sure of those things. Yeah, so of course it opens up with, you know, as you'd like in this kind of situation, you're a nerd and well, this isn't quite where it opens up, but this is the story I want to open up with.
Right.
You're a nerd, and all of a sudden a mysterious woman calls you and says, "I am Sybil, and I'm a woman." A fatty.
A woman?
Weird, nice. Yeah. Woo. Yeah, it is fun. Because we are in the 80s, and so because we're in the 80s, why not reference weird science? And in this episode, we also get at the in this episode, kind of a very low key opening, unlike the previous ones, where we had like a whole, time frame.
Like an homage to the title sequences of the era.
Yeah, and this one and it kind of does, because it's kind of like this is just to show you how serious we are. This is like war games. We're just like that's all you're getting is that little line of code, because this is an important thing that we're doing. But in the meantime, so Mack and Deke are stuck in the 80s.
Right.
Because Mack had to get air and left.
So his parents in his own timeline, his parents have been dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his only gripe right now is that he thought his parents weren't dead, and turns out they have been dead for a while, and his hopes were gotten high by a bunch of Chronicoms. That's his only gripe, right?
Well, what it sort of is his parents died, but I don't think they died at this time. I think they died like maybe later. Like they died soon after this moment. But this was like his one last good memory, and now that's been stolen too.
Yeah, I just find his reaction to be a little over the top and kind of doesn't mesh with the rest of his character almost. It seems a little too out of left field.
I mean, I guess if you had gotten that chance to see your parents, gotten the chance to do things that you never thought you were going to be able to do, like introduce your parents to the woman you love.
Right. If you're a regular person, I get it. If you're me, I get it. But not the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, it's like, come on.
He's still a human, man. He's not.
I know. But
he's got the feels, man.
I dig it.
The feels.
But
that's
I don't know.
The point, you know?
It's yeah, I know. But it's just, and I think maybe it was because they were trying to pay an homage to these kinds of shows from the 80s with terrible acting. Man, Mack is terrible in this episode. He's so bad. Almost like makes you think like it's kitsch and on purpose. Well, in which case, it's genius. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I will say there is a lot of kitschiness in this, and although, okay, let's get to into our new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
First off, I am in love with Roxy Glass. She,
who's Roxy Glass?
The brunette. Who Deke introduces as the brains of the outfit.
Oh, gotcha.
She's doing like 6
squad.
shots.
Gotcha,
one of the Deke squad. Yeah, the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Fair enough.
Team.
Right.
Although it's one of these weird things because, like, isn't there still a S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Right.
They interacted with Stoner last episode.
Right.
And I gotta feel like Stoner knows they're using it. So it's like
I think maybe what they mean is this is an extension of the S.H.I.E.L.D. of their timeline existing in this timeline. So like their allegiance is not to this timeline S.H.I.E.L.D., but they're agents of our S.H.I.E.L.D. from our timeline.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I think it went nicely.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. We'll get to that next episode, but they're the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Roxy Glass, even though she is kind of a bubblehead in this, we also see that she actually really does bring a lot of intellect and intelligence to it. She can see what's going on with Mack. She kind of talks to it. So I love the fact that they present her to be an incompetent, because you think Deke's incompetent, but then as it goes on, you realize that, oh no, all of these people are actually really competent at their jobs.
Right. I mean, I don't know if she was singularly presented as incompetent or more so than the rest of the team. I think the whole of the team is presented, I guess, from Mack's perspective for us to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought she was probably one of the more capable members of the team, maybe the only actually capable member of the team.
Yep.
They all had their little quirks, but she was actually useful.
Yeah. And she her and Olga really are great in this team. I don't think the Chang brothers get as much play as they should. And let me just see, are there actually two guys playing? Yeah, it's two twins, John Wan and Matt Wan.
Nice.
Yuan, Tommy and Ronnie Chang,
they've got such an 80s look.
Yes, they really do. But Olga, who I am saying, this is my headcanon, she is related to Dottie Underwood somehow.
Huh.
She is, that's just my headcanon. She's a Russian, defector, super spy kind of character.
Right.
I really feel like she's got to be in that as someone, who I got to tie her back to Dottie. So that's my thing with Olga, and I love her in this.
Right. also, I guess it's one of these 80s tropes, but I felt like she died, and then all of a sudden we were pretending like she didn't die. That happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's so cool. That's so funny.
So what it is apparently the ray beams from the eyes, which is a real fun thing, because it's a question: are those Kit ray beams, or are they Cylon ray beams? If you remember the Cylons from the old... See, because those Cylons were in the 80s, too. But, of course, what I think most people think about is Kit from...
Knight Rider?
Knight Rider, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't shoot beams. He didn't hurt
shoot, but the eyes, it's the back and forth red light.
Right.
The eye beams are actually, I take a reference to Cyclops.
Right, of course. That's what I was thinking. Right.
Because they're actually a concussive force beam.
Right.
They're not a heat beam. So,
but I think didn't Olga get murdered by the spinning blade? There was a lot of blood and gore when Olga was like trying to crawl away. So I got the impression that she was dead, and then she shows up in the next scene and she's perfectly fine. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it's like Dottie Underwood, man. She can take a hit.
Yeah.
You might knock her down, but you don't knock her out. You know. She can sew that up in the field, man. That's like third grade in
trails.
Ukraine.
Who needs them?
Nah, you just shove them back in. They're all there. You got them all. Okay, just put them back where they came from. Sew it shut, you know. Yeah. As long as you didn't break them, they're okay, you know. But yeah, so we do get the we finally get Max Coulson. And I love Max Coulson in this because I called out Max Coulson at the start of this.
Yes, you did.
But in that case, I was talking about the comic book Max Fury, the LMD who gains sentience and self-awareness that he is he's aware that he is in fact a a LMD, and then takes the name Max to differentiate himself from the other Fury from Nick Fury. And so in doing that, I really appreciate the idea that's Max Fury, and then we have Max Coulson. But Max Coulson is also based off of Max Headroom in this, who of course was another popular 80s character who was a talking robot head in a box. So to me, it was like, it's brilliant. To me, I want to say that was a fully cognitive joke within a joke.
For sure.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were just trying to homage Max Headroom and they don't even know who Max Fury is. But it really made me happy to see that. Oh, Max Coulson. I love it. But, of course, you know, when Sybil finally gets her body, then she starts building other hunters, and Geek Guy comes back, and he's like, aren't I enough for you? And, like, you know, within the whole concept, you got to ask, like, dude, you built her, but you also built her as Johnny Five. Where was this going? Really?
Right. No, but I thought the plan was, hey, this is where we'll start, and then eventually, now that I'm more capable, I can make you more capable, and making me even more capable.
Yeah. Well, he did give her hands, so we'll start with that. For touching and for hugging. Hands are for hugging. And but she does not give her allies in this hands. She gives them drills and saws and lasers and guns. And I love when the one hunter does drill through the guy, because again, aside from this, that totally 80s gore. You also
where you cut away right before the action happens.
Oh no! Yeah, you saw all the gore in this.
No, but not like the entry points. It was like done in the way that they tried to be clever back in the day.
Oh yeah.
In hiding, you know, and it was just it was so nice to see little touches like that. Yeah.
What I liked about it was that the shirt gets caught on the drill bit.
And sucked back in. Yes,
sucked back in. I love that.
That was so cool.
That is such a nice little touch, because usually you would just have it burst out as if there was no resistance. But they, you know, the guys who are writing this, they think these things through. They got a great art design department and an FX team working on this show, and I really appreciate what they can do with little money. And you get in this a very nice bit here where, and it's a nice thing that's a callback, is when we first see the message coming from Sybil, we see the little one-hand robot drive in and drive out, and then at the end, after what we think is Sybil's body destroyed, we again see that little one-hand robot rolling out to find the device that shows the future.
The time stream.
The time stream. The little Eye of Agamotto. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and I love that because it is such a misdirect that we think that, oh, she needs this. And then when that little device on the little, which, that had to take hours to get all the way over to the, I mean, I know technically the house is supposed to be like, just a few feet from it, or like a small ways from the lighthouse. Because that's, of course, Malek's old house, which we know has a view of the lighthouse. But it is just an interesting aspect of it that even walking that small range, that's going to take that little guy hours. But it gets there. Had great batteries, clearly. And shows up, and that's where we see Freddie Malek did live. And appreciably has no real ill effects from what he went through.
Now, again, are we every time we jump, are we traveling to a different timeline?
No, we're jumping within the timeline.
Okay. So then how did he survive? Because didn't he blow up?
No, the roof just fell on him.
Oh, right.
People get roofs dropped on them all the time.
Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we see that, and what's interesting about that is it really, because we see that Sybil's in the same kind of Max Headroom box. But at the same time, we see, which actually suggests that she survived, and that it was never really her in the robot. Right. She was controlling them all remotely the whole time, which is kind of brilliant. And we see that now Freddy's got the timeline. Not Freddy. Nathaniel has the timeline. Nathaniel, the timeline device, and
well, it seems like she has it, or does she give it to him, or does she use it and then feeds him information? Right.
That it can open, because he has no idea how to read it. That's part of comp technology. Right. So he has to build her an interface and all this kind of stuff. And for what it's worth, I'm gonna bet you he doesn't build her a body. Though arguably she never had a body. She was always in that ones and zeros space.
Right. And at any point, if she connects into any network, she can sort of leach into any manufacturing facility anywhere in the world and build herself a body, even have it mailed and shipped to her, and then she could put it together by her own means.
Yeah.
She doesn't necessarily need him to build,
Yeah, exactly. She's actually doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really, really neat dynamic. We also go back. We see Coulson again, going back to Max Coulson with his idea that he has been trapped in this box for 3 years, which I think is a interesting aspect of it. That he is. It's
either that or purgatory, right?
Well, yeah, as I always say, it always takes me back to, the Incredible Hulk's Returns, when Thor is describing what it's like when he is sent away by Blake. And he is, in a place without, sound or noise. He is, held in this spot of darkness. And of smoke, and what it is to not have limbs, and it is really a fascinating aspect of the entire story. I mean, everything in this is just really amazing. And although I gotta call this one aspect out, which is we get our bro Thor Mack. But he doesn't really bro Thor. It's like he grows the beard. You kind of get the idea that he's letting himself go. But as soon as he's back in action, he just takes off the big bulky sweatshirt, and he's all ribs under there.
Right. And my word, have you seen a more fake beard? You know, like come on. But again, it's part of the flavor of the episode. I dig it.
Well, I was on the boards talking about this, and somebody pointed out, wouldn't his hair have grown too? It's like,
no, that's got to be well manicured.
Yeah, well, I was saying, like, you can argue that. I think it would have been really funny if they let him have a George Jefferson.
Oh, that would have been great.
Just get that whole Sherman Helmsley going.
That would have been so fun.
Because I guess we're supposed to believe that he's just completely bald now. That there's just not even a Sherman Helmsley left up there. Although arguably you could see how he would let the beard grow and not trim it, but might still shave the head on a fairly regular basis because there's less of it to shave, I guess, is the argument, And just letting the beard grow kind of, you wouldn't normally have shaved your beard anyway. You just, would trim it back, and he just hasn't been trimming it. So
it points to me, though, that if you have enough wherewithal to be, carefully preparing your skull, but then noticeably leaving your beard look so negligible, it's a cry for help. It's a seeking attention kind of thing. Look at me, I'm so sad. Look at how unkempt I've let my beard get. Oh, woe is me, right? Ugh.
Well, they're trying to, if you ever watched Gary Shandling's show, which is one of my favorite shows
I've heard great things about it, but I never have.
It's a really good show, and there were a couple episodes where he would do what he'd call that's a time jump, where he would like have something change, and it's just how we're showing that a time has passed. And like I remember one where he has a whole turkey in front of him, and then the turkey's gone. It was a time jump, And so, hey, again, what's going on in this show? A lot of time jumps. It's neat that we opened it up with May coming in and debriefing Deke, which also kind of like takes a little of the pressure off for this. And the idea that, we know Deke makes it to the end, but
right. It almost felt like an interrogation. That's why I was like, whoa, did Deke do something wrong or?
Well, yeah, well, that's the question. It's like, was Deke's band a good idea?
Yeah.
And, that's a question. Although, he goes back and he just does all the best songs from the 80s.
By the way, my favorite part of the episode, because like they tease you with a little bit of it, like he's gonna do "Don't You Forget About Me," and then they cut to something else, or I guess that's where they cut to commercial, and you think, no, they're not gonna give you the whole song. Yeah. And man, they really let him go, and he looked like he was having a ball, and I had a ball, because who doesn't love cover songs, and who doesn't love karaoke? And that was great that they let that moment have its moment. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, but I also like the fact that Deke says, "Oh, it's just you're just a cover band." It says you're singing other people's songs. It says, technically, no, that song hasn't been written for another 2 years.
Yeah,
which of course is brilliant. Although, as I understand, that's actually kind of a problem that happens in the film Yesterday, where
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't yet. I want to.
It's wonderful. I loved it. And surprisingly enough, what's his name? That redheaded, singer, songwriter, guitar player. What's his name? Can't think of his name right now.
From what?
Well, he's a famous singer, songwriter. A ginger.
Oh, Harry Connick Jr.
No, never mind.
Never mind.
He's really, really funny. I can't think of his name right now.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. But all in all, I really loved this. This was a lot of homages to the 80s. Two people about to have sex. Oh, what's that noise? Oh, it's probably just the Johnny and Ronnie trying to peep on us. Let me go investigate. And I love girls. It's like, I really don't mind. She just wants to get with Cricket. And I also, of course, gotta love the idea that yeah, Cricket. He, I used to think he was shady. Then I found out he has a steady job selling Coke. Although it's weird, I never see him drink it. But I'm bummed. Time travel. We don't know what certain words mean.
And was it just me, or was Olga, speaking sweet nothings to Roxy Glass in Russian, even though she didn't know what she was saying, it seemed like?
No, she was totally all about the Roxy Glass, and who wouldn't?
Yeah. Right. No, but I'm just saying, Roxy wasn't aware, right? That was sort of like a moment to herself where she was just saying something to,
Yeah.
Or did you think Roxy understood what she was saying?
I don't know, but maybe she understood. Maybe she understood it deeper. That's for
right,
fiction writers to decide. Mozz,
dig it.
You and I we are not of that ilk where we're going to decide.
I'm
what
just saying.
Did.
I wasn't asking you to decide. I was just wondering what you thought or what your opinion was.
Yeah,
I mean, it's above our pay grade, but I get it.
My basic
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Well, I thought that it was cool that she has this yearning. Or maybe, or even, because arguably, hey, it was in some Eastern European, Slavic, probably Latvian. Let's just say she was a Latvian. She's speaking Latvian. And so in Latvian, that is what she was, because they have the rights now. That is what she said in Latvian to her. And, that's our translation of it. It could also just be that this is what two good female friends say to each other.
Fair enough.
It doesn't have to be gay. Achilles could have been having sex with the guy from the Trojan War, but he didn't necessarily have to. Maybe their brotherhood was just that strong. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Or, one night in a foxhole, like Cap and Bucky. But moving right along. Anything else you want to say about this episode? Because I thought it was nice. I thought it worked. It hit all the notes you'd want from an 80s themed show, and I liked where it went. What did you think?
I thought it was brilliant, and I'm glad that I sort of missed the break between these two episodes because I saw this late. So as soon as this ended, the next episode just goes in and gives you more background into this whole story, which was great to be able to not have to wait a week to see it.
It was pretty cool. Okay, so you enjoyed this show. I enjoyed this show. Stephen Bochco should be very proud of his son, Jesse Bochco, who directed a really fine thing. Even if you don't feel the acting was on par, Mozz, I felt he captured the theme brilliantly, and I think every choice was an intentional choice. Right.
It was intentionally bad, which I'm perfectly fine with, and I enjoyed all the bad acting.
But, while you're trying to figure out what you want to do to stimulate yourself after a show like this, if you can always go over to huntkiller.com and look up private investigator Michelle Gray, who does need your help specifically, Mozz, and the help of our friends out there in podcast land to help her solve a cold case, sort through the evidence, decipher codes, and, piece together all the clues. It's kind of like, if an escape room was delivered to your house every month. That's what Hunt a Killer is trying to go for. Meanwhile, you can also, if you like, head on over to tweakedaudio.com. That's TWEAKED audio, AUDIO, I think, .com, all one word, to, hear about some of the greatest sound devices you're ever going to put in your ears. So that's a thing. And go down to the show notes, click on that Amazon link, buy anything that you want. Don't listen to me. Buy whatever you want through that Amazon link. It's going to kick a couple shekels back to Master Doom. And, of course, while you're there, you might want to check out Pod Life, the book that will tell you what it's like to live the life of a podcaster, or give you some thoughts on that. Anyway, in the meantime, if everyone does any of that, or even if they don't, Mozz, how can they find you?
Or they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Yes. And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Mozz and Poz once did back in the 80s at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as a live tweet agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I did a little bit last week, but not as much as I usually do, but I will usually be on that ball At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right, heroes, you have made it to another episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Nuff Said podcast, where we try to keep you up to date on this weird, wild branch of the MCU. We have told you what we have to say, and so now all that's left to say is Nuff Said.